Ever stumble across a research paper and just think, hold on, what? That's Tarsier for me. We're diving deep into AI and how it understands what it sees, and, well, this one's a game changer.
Pretty amazing stuff.
So today we're tackling AI that goes beyond just seeing a video. It's about actual understanding. Think about explaining a movie to a friend. Tarsier doesn't just say car chase, it's picking up on camera angles, emotions, the whole 9 yards. That level of detail, that's what we're talking about.
Moving past the surface, right. It's about those subtleties that really make a difference.
Exactly, and that's where Tarsier comes in. So break it down for us. What is this thing, and who's behind it?
So Tarsier is a new family of these large video language models. The brains behind it are researchers over at ByteDance.
Get out, same ByteDance that brought us TikTok?
Yep, that's the one.
From dance crazes to seriously smart AI, they're on a roll. But you'd think something this advanced would be crazy complicated, right?
You'd think so. But that's where it gets interesting. Tarsier's actually got this surprisingly simple architecture.
No, that's wild. You'd assume it'd be way more complex than the, say, GPT-4V. What's the secret ingredient?
Well, it uses CLIP-ViT to analyze each frame. In layman's terms, it's a tried-and-true method to break down visuals. Then, they use a large language model, or LLM, to connect the dots between those frames. That's how it generates the description.
Okay, so it's like each frame is a piece of the puzzle, and the LLM figures out how to put them together to get the whole picture.
Exactly. And honestly, this approach is a big deal. Researchers finding these elegant solutions instead of just throwing more computing power at the problem makes you think about where AI is headed, right? It's pretty exciting.
No kidding. But how do they train Tarsier to become this good at, putting it all together?
Two-stage process, and of course, huge data sets. But here's the kicker. They focused on quality over quantity, trained it on these high-quality descriptions made by humans.
Like teaching someone to write a screenplay, but using Oscar-winning films. Not just any old flick, right?
Yeah.
Learning from the best of the best.
Exactly. And they didn't go easy on Tarsier either. Camera movements, different levels of descriptions, even creative writing, they threw it all in there.
Talk about a crash course. But it makes you wonder, how do you even start testing something like this?
That's where Dream 1K enters the picture.
Dream 1K sounds like something straight out of sci-fi.
Well, in the world of AI benchmarking, it kind of is. It's a data set, but it's designed to really push these video description models, see what they're made of. Think of it like an obstacle course, but for AI, created by the harshest critics to separate the pros from the amateurs.
Okay, now you've got my attention. What makes Dream 1K tougher than, say, other tests?
It's all about variety and how dynamic things are. See, lots of data sets use these short, simple clips, often with just one clear event. But Dream 1K, it throws everything at them. Longer videos, multiple things happening at once. You've got complex interactions, camera angles changing all over the place, the whole shebang.
So it's not enough to just look at a single frame and call it a day. Tarsier actually has to understand the story, how it unfolds, just like a person watching would.
Exactly. And just to add another layer, these videos come from everywhere. Movie clips, documentaries, even stuff people upload themselves. So the models can't rely on any preconceived notions, about what to expect. It has to adapt and analyze each video on its own.
Wow, that's a tall order. Like asking someone to sum up a movie perfectly, but only letting them see the trailer. But here, Tarsier doesn't even get that.
Right. And remember that example from the paper, the one with all the action, 6, I think, perfectly shows what Tarsier can do, gets them all, describes them accurately. Other models, even some big names, they mess up, miss things, misunderstand what's happening, sometimes even make stuff up that's not even there.
That's amazing, and a good reminder that bigger isn't always better in AI. It's about how smart the design is, how effective that training is. But even with something like Dream 1K, how do you measure accuracy with these complex descriptions? It's not like there's one right answer. Even people might describe the same video in different ways,
You've hit on a really important point. Those traditional metrics, the ones that just look at if words match between what the model says and a reference, they just don't work when you're talking about descriptions with this much nuance, this many layers. Imagine you're judging a story contest. You wouldn't just count the words, would you? You want to know if the story really gets the prompt, gets the feeling across.
It's about getting the soul of the video, right? Not just repeating what happened.
Exactly. That's where auto DQ steps in. It's a new way to evaluate, and it's designed to measure not just how accurate it is, but the art of the description, if that makes sense.
You've got me hooked. Tell me more. How does auto DQ work its magic?
Well, think of it like a two-step process. First, they use another AI model, but this one's specifically for picking out events, kind of like a detective, They look at the evidence and figure out the key events of a crime. This model does that, analyzes both what Tarsier says and a description written by a person, and it pulls out the main things that happen from each. Then they use something called a natural language inference model. That's a fancy way of saying it compares those events it picked out.
So instead of just checking if the words match, it looks at whether Tarsier actually gets what's going on, the meaning behind it all.
That's it. It's about capturing what the video is really about, not just playing a word game.
And the really cool thing about it is that it makes evaluating so much clearer. You can see exactly where the model shines and where it maybe needs a little tweaking.
So we've got this intense training with Dream 1K, this really smart evaluation with AutoDQ, but how does Tarsier actually do? Does it live up to all the hype?
In a word, yeah, absolutely. On Dream 1K, it just blows other open source models out of the water consistently. But here's the really interesting part. It actually beats out GPT-4v too, both when you look at the automatic scores and what people thought.
Whoa, hold on. We're talking about GPT-4v here, the one from, one of the biggest names in the AI game, the one and only. It's like David and Goliath. Really says a lot about how clever Tarsier's design is and how well that training paid off. Now, to be fair, Gemini 1.5 Pro, that's another one that's not open source. That one still edges it out just a little bit.
So not quite taking the crown, but coming in a super close second, that's still seriously impressive, especially given the difference in, like, resources and everything.
Oh, absolutely. And remember how we talked about Tarsier's architecture? How it's surprisingly straightforward. When you factor that in, its performance is even more remarkable. Kind of like a small, dedicated film crew making a movie that rivals a huge Hollywood blockbuster.
Love the analogy. But it's not just about size, right? There's Tarsier 27B too, the smaller version. That one really packs a punch too, doesn't it?
It really does. Outperforms the bigger Tarsier 34B on Dream 1K. Even goes toe-to-toe with GPT-4o, and that's the top dog in the proprietary model world. Just goes to show, efficiency, smart design, those can be just as powerful as throwing tons of resources at something, even in AI.
Like they say, it's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the fight in the dog, right? But it sounds like Tarsier is not just a one-trick pony. It's not limited to just describing videos, is it?
You got it. It's incredibly versatile. Remember that whole multitask pre-training thing we talked about?
Mhm.
Well, it turns out that gives Tarsier a pretty wide range of skills. Ace other video tasks, answering open-ended questions, multiple choice questions, even zero-shot video captioning. That one's basically summarizing a whole video in just one impactful sentence.
Now that's what I call multi-talented. Like that friend who's not only great at storytelling, but they can analyze themes, write you a poem, come up with a killer slogan, all in one. What makes it so versatile?
Researchers really dug into that, and they found three big things. First, that multitask pre-training we talked about. It's crucial. It's like giving the AI a well-rounded education. See, by exposing it to all kinds of data, all kinds of tasks, it develops this richer understanding of the world. And that just makes it better at understanding and interpreting videos.
So it's not enough to just watch videos. It needs to get the context, the bigger picture.
Exactly. The second thing, that focus on high-quality data during instruction tuning, that's non-negotiable. You can't just feed it any old video and expect amazing results. It's got to learn from the best, those carefully crafted descriptions that really nail what the video is all about.
Quality over quantity strikes again. What's the third thing?
Well, when it comes to fine-tuning that large language model, no shortcuts. You got to go all the way for the best results. It's all about getting those intricate connections down, the ones between understanding the visuals and processing language.
No shortcut to AI brilliance, I guess. So where does this leave us? What's the big takeaway, the so what of Tarsier's success?
To me, Tarsier is a turning point. It's pushing the boundaries of what's possible with open source models. It's making this incredible technology available to way more people, researchers, developers, everyone. And this is what they can do with a model that's actually considered pretty simple in its design. Just imagine what video understanding AI will be capable of in a few years.
I don't know about you, but I'm both excited and a little terrified, which, let's be honest, is the best way to feel when you're talking about cutting-edge AI. But speaking of exciting, we can't finish this deep dive without giving our listeners something to chew on, something to think about.
Of course not. So here's a thought. What if this tech could make online videos more accessible for people who are visually impaired? Imagine AI generating those audio descriptions. But they're not just accurate, they're actually engaging. They capture all the nuance, all the feeling of the visual experience, and enrich everyone's understanding. Could AI be the key to making online video content truly accessible for everyone?
Now, that's a question worth pondering. And on that note, we're wrapping up our Tarsier deep dive. To everyone listening, keep those brains